Hey there, I'm Steph,
And I'm Simon.
and welcome to The Food Fight, where we offer a different perspective on food culture issues around Australia and the world.
We'll talk with chefs, producers, business owners and experts to hear their stories and find out what makes them tick.
Today we chat with Julian Cincotta from Butter in Sydney about how a concept built on fried chicken, sneakers, champagne and hip-hop successfully blurred the lines between food and culture. All right, welcome to another episode of the Food Fight podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Steph Postuma. I'm your host, joined by my co-host, Simon Evans.
Hey.
Now, we start our podcast with an acknowledgement of country, so we'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land where we gather today, and pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. All right, let's introduce our guest. We are here at Thievery in Glebe with Julian Cincotta. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, you are part owner here and then also over at Butter in Surrey Hills and now in Chatswood.
And Parramatta.
Surrey
Hills, Parramatta, now Chatswood.
And now Chatswood, yes. All right, 3, going strong. Let's to begin with, like the easy way to start is just for you to give us a bit of a background of sort of how you got into food, like where you first started learning about food and things like that, and where you started working. We know you got began at Rockpool in a way as well.
Yeah, I guess I got pulled out of school because I was wagging, and my dad had a cafe, and I actually wanted to be a builder
Nice.
or a chef, something with my
Should
hands.
have been a builder.
Should have, yeah. Probably be paid more and, doing half days. So basically, within the week, pulled me out, put me in the kitchen at the cafe and was just washing dishes. Wouldn't let me do anything else apart from make salads and wash dishes. Wasn't even allowed to empty the deep fryer. Like,
Really?
It was just it was like I wasn't trained enough. And then I started doing a few shifts a week at a little place in Parramatta called Courtney's Brasserie, Paul Cooper's, and I just remember like the first dish was like this mushroom, wild mushroom terrine, and he had like this mandarin gel that was like a line on it, this quenelle of beetroot chutney and this little like baguette crostinis, and I was like, wow. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then I was already like an apprentice then. I think I was like second year or third, and he was like, I can't afford you. And then I got the job, saw an ad in the paper for Rockpool. My best friend from school had started working there after he did the Intercontinental Hotel School. He's like, come and work here. And I had nothing. I had no idea who Neil Perry was or what it was or anything. And I went on the trial, and supposedly everyone told me I only got the job because I went for the Roosters, and Khan Dennis, the head chef at the time, went for the Roosters. It was 04 and it was when they were playing the Bulldogs. And
Good reason as any to get a job.
I mean, apprentices are quite similar sometimes. Like, I just pick someone who I might want to chat to.
And then I started there, and that trial, it was like, all this like fine stuff, and I was just like, wow, okay, this is amazing. I wanted to quit from day one for a good year and a half, but my brother sort of kept me in there and stuck it out, and I just fell in love with it. It was the little plating, the camaraderie of the kitchen, everyone working together, just pushing on, that adrenaline, that just like was amazing. I loved it. Always been competitive, like everyone in the kitchen was like, who can do it quicker, who can do it better, who can do more, I just really loved that whole thing of the kitchen. And that was where I probably, from Courtney's Brasserie, like I did really love it and wanted to get into it, but that was really probably the point of like, okay, this is what I'm doing and what I'm going to do and what I envision to have my own places or do my own things. So I spent like 5 years, went down to Melbourne when they opened up Rockpool Bar and Grill, was still like a sort of senior chef, not like a sous chef, but like a senior CDP, and then, slowly sort of worked up the ranks there, came back and opened up Bar and Grill in Sydney, 2009, and then, had gone overseas and, done a few things in between.
Awesome. So we won't dwell on Rockpool too much, but maybe is there something that you learnt, like we've talked to a few Rockpool alumni on this podcast, is there something that you sort of learnt there that you've just taken with you ever since?
I think Neil's appreciation for food, for people, for hospitality, it was a very big thing. You know, no matter how much you worked, how tired, anything, like he'd just walk through the kitchen and lift everyone up. Everyone was like family. Everyone worked together. Like, honestly, it's still one of the places, you know, and we try to instill that with ours. Like, everyone is family. Everyone works for the same goal. You know, met so many amazing people there and friends still, like, you know, Graham and stuff and Pollard, everyone, like, you still really stay connected. And you, like, I don't know, I look back on it going, how the hell did I prep all that stuff and get it all done? And, like, you know, and it's like, I couldn't do it now.
That's every chef feeling.
Yeah,
almost every job I've had, I felt like, I said, how do we get through that?
Yeah.
How do we do that with many people?
I know, like, mate, doing like 20 kilos of crabs and having to pick liters and liters of herbs and salad mix and all this. I was just like in a dungeon down at Rockpool. Like, honestly, I don't know how. But I just think instilling in, you know, what food is, what hospitality is, that's just this whole thing, you know, just cooking beautiful, amazing food.
And so then, at a point while you were working at Rockpool when you won the Josephine Pineau Young Chef Award?
No, I was at I just opened up Nomad.
Oh, okay.
Nathan Sarsi was the head there, and it was a few years in the making.
Yeah.
And I had actually wanted to apply for it years before, but never got around to it. And I think it was like 4 years after. Yeah, I must have been 24 when I wanted to do it. And I still had my notes that I wrote, and it was still actually pretty the same of like how I wanted to do, or, you know, your philosophy on food. And then, so I won that 2015.
Yeah. So, like, for people who haven't heard of it, because there are a diverse group of people that listen to this, like, what does winning that award mean, and what did it bring you?
So it's on basically you as a chef, as a leader, you know, within the industry. Basically, they want to, you know, Josephine Pineau, obviously, she was an up-and-coming chef. Damien Pineau's wife, they had a car accident. They, you know, did this award in honor to her, and it was for aspiring up-and-coming chefs to give them, obviously, you know, chefs and people don't get paid much to get money to go overseas, to learn, to come back and be that next leader of chef that, you know, gives them their training and knowledge to the next generation.
Cool. And so that then facilitated you getting some pretty cool stages overseas.
Yeah, so I mean, before that, I'd actually been overseas. I was in Melbourne, and I was like, Neil was actually going to open up in London. I was like, I wanted to go over and learn, but then, you know, Melbourne happened, so I was like, okay, cool, getting out of home. I went over to America in like 2009, sort of on my own back. Didn't really have much, but it was like dollar for dollar, so it was actually amazing. Like, you know, the exchange rate. And I went and like staged at Alinea and went to Charlie Trotter's. I went to Morimoto in New York, which was really fun. I'd always loved Japanese sort of style of things. And then, so obviously I'd always wanted to go to Europe, and that was a time when I was meant to apply for the award and I wanted to go and get it done. But well, after I got the award, you get like some flights and some money to go over to learn. And I went on a hiatus for 8 months, and I did some staging. I literally ate 3-4 times a day. I spent way more than my award money. I could have probably bought a house, but it was an experience that you know, you're never going to get.
So what? Because I don't know, we haven't talked too much about actual like staging. We've done a little bit on this podcast, but tell us about a place like Alinea, like walking into that place compared to where you'd been before. Like, what did you see, and like, what was it like? How did you respond and stuff like that? That's a next level place.
Sorry. Yeah, look, it was amazing. At that time, like before Neil at Rockpool, like we'd gone into the molecular route, and like these little veg jellies and hot vanilla foams, and everything was sous vide'd, and it was an eye-opening. It was different, thinking different. When I got there, like, God, like that kitchen was absolutely amazing. Like how they ran 2 sides, cooking on each side, sous chefs and chefs in the middle that go from section to section, 24 courses. It was like, you know, all right, you got rutabaga on pass, or, you know, they're just going through the motions. It was like an army, and it was run so well. I guess and this is probably a thing from Rockpool or Neil, I didn't really see food.
Yeah.
Right. It was molecular. I had an outstanding meal, but I had like, I'd already known how to cook. I was a stage, I was picking herbs. I didn't mind because you can do that and you watch and learn and you see things. I guess a part that I really kind of sort of found, one of the interns was like, oh, we're like having a drink. They all go like get smashed after work. Nice. You're there from bloody 9 a.m. till 1 in the morning. Yeah. And it's JMO shots and beers. That's all you can have. And he's like, oh, obviously Australia, Asian food, distillate, like Thai flavors, things like that. Like we're so accustomed to it, balance and harmony, you know? And he's like whinging to me. He's like, oh, I make this to the recipe, to the tea, to the salt, all this. And it's always different. It was a Thai distillation of flavors like ginger, galangal, garlic, scud chili. And I'm like, yeah, but like ginger can taste different one day to the next. Chilies are more heat, this. And he's like, yeah, but I follow the recipe. And that was probably the point where I was just like, this is not cooking. Like you got to feel it. Like a recipe is a guideline, taste, seasoning, adapting to like what there is. And like I actually thought I'd go see Amazing Produce, all these things. It was a bit different, but like for what they did was fucking incredible. Like it was amazing. Like honestly, I had one of the most amazing theatrical. The food was tasty. A couple of the Asian things probably not, but but it was an amazing meal. And I just kind of like, I really loved it. And then that was when it probably was a point where it was like, you know what, I just want to cook good, tasty, accessible food.
It's kind of like, there was almost like a different time in restaurants, like that kind of, it was still kind of that Farinadria, Heston, molecular, things need to look not like their original form, things need to like taste like you have to have like 20 weird ingredients to make this like completely different flavor profile of stuff. And then we've kind of gone to that more like Noma Scandinavian kind of ingredient focused, and we're in a much better place for now because it was like dishes would just not look like food. But that was the challenge, was like, how can I make this thing look like a fucking rock or a pebble?
I think tomato, but it's a strawberry. Which is like, it's amazing. Honestly,
it's technically competent, but it does lose its soul. Yeah, and especially in kind of a massive brigade like that, when you are only seeing like one tiny part of the dish. That's just got to be like, very much feeling like you're not cooking or it's not food. Yeah.
Do you think there's something? I don't know, like the fact that we didn't catch that molecular bug here in Australia in the same way that like Europe might have, or in the States might have. I mean, I probably Sapia you look to, and like restaurants like that, but I don't know, does that say something about Australian culture and Australian cuisine? Because what I see from, wherever I consume food media is people really appreciating, and it's now, but it has always been just really appreciating good, tasty, simplicity, produce-driven stuff. And like so many people we talk to now are like, no, we don't want to fucking spherify anything. Like, we just like, why would we spherify a pea? It's already a sphere.
I think a bit of like, I mean, okay, look back in the day, like Tets, Key, Aria, Key, Rockpool and stuff. They had their time. There wasn't the casual restaurants there is now, right? It was either like your general local places or you went to those finer. I think one part is our population and demand. The other part is like there's a lot more money over there than sort of here. I mean, even they had it to set these places up. Like, I mean, I know we had 20 chefs at Rockpool and things, but I think it was a bit as well, like they're hemorrhaging money, but they're getting those awards. And we obviously never had the Michelin stuff. I mean, Rockpool or Key or Ben Shuri has been in the top 100s and that, but I just think that we appreciate and accept differently. I mean, you want to actually go overseas and have those fine crazy meals, but here you want something that you like. Key, you got a beautiful setting and you're having beautiful food. I mean, they're doing a little bit of it, but it's still more real food.
I mean, it comes down to lifestyle here a bit. Everyone's a bit less intense in Australia, so like, and that kind of like 20 course or like so technical, it's intense to work with and intense to eat. And also like wages in America are fucking nothing. You can afford to have 50 chefs to 20 diners.
It's like, all the Mexicans doing everything.
Underpaid. So like, I mean, that's probably the biggest difference. Same in the UK as well. Like you have these massive brigades in these hotels that are serving like 30 guests, and you just couldn't afford that here.
It was probably one thing that I really like. Obviously, I had just qualified and being there, and then like these interns, these people went to culinary school and like literally didn't really have any skill, but like thought they were like amazing too. I think that Australia, and I think it's more in the UK too. Like, just, mate, we can cook, we can do everything. Like, he's like, no, those guys will pick herbs, all these things. It's like, man, we get to do it ourselves. Like, they just didn't have that, like, you know. Look, there is a lot of amazing American chefs, but just my time of seeing like some of the young kids, I was like, God, you know, 18, 19, it's like, and they all do like their school. They're a little bit older, like 22 when they're kind of starting, when we were like 15, 16, starting apprenticeships. It was a totally different mindset, you know. They didn't think they had to do all the stuff, or you know, the shitty things, you know.
They've been to the culinary schools, they've skipped all the
and that's where you learn
work.
how to be quick and time management and doing that stuff, and you can do any job. If you have to, you know, wash the shit out of anything, like, you're gonna do it. But
What about some of the European stages? You were at Saturn in Paris and Lyle's in London and a couple of others. Like, is there one particular one that stood out, or something you learnt, or a story to share? Like,
which ones were actually good? Because so many stages can just be you're in the corner picking.
No, honestly, I did. I had a really fun time in Braw. Honestly, because I sort of had some friends in the places, I had a really good time. Like, Lyle's was awesome, and I think that was very, like, really good food too. Like, I really loved, you know, the food there. And there were also small kitchens and stuff too, for what they were pumping out. God, it seems like forever ago now, but honestly, I can't say there was a favorite. I really enjoyed all of them. When you're learning something, when you're around people, you're seeing different things, like, you're just so happy and engrossed in it, you know. Like, I didn't have anything bad. No, I didn't have a bad, you know, stage anywhere. So, Paris was awesome. I did really love that. And like I said, London, I tried to get in Kiki to Costa down in Denay in Barcelona, but they wouldn't have me, so I was a bit upset, because he was one of the first people I sort of really watched, and that molecular part as well, like, very interesting and down like on the water, and you know, but yeah,
cool. And then, so, like, returning to Australia, did you think, all right, well, like, I've got all this experience in these types of kitchens and things like that, this is a path I should naturally go down? Or was, you know, your next move reaction against that? Like, what was it like when you got back here, and then, you know, coming to Thievery?
Well, so before I actually went, I opened up Thievery.
Right.
It was just before I came and consulted for the boys for a few months. So we sort of got it opened. I mean, it was my first proper place. I did my first sort of real menu myself. Like, it was a thing, I think, like Rockpool. It was always sort of Khan, Neil. There was bits that you didn't, and man, it's scary. Like, I think I'm a shit cunt, you know, like anytime. You know, even now, it's like you have sort of coming back. So I had already done Thievery, so I was on a little bit of a high. Like, we were very just street food, wasn't anything going for hats, things like that. But yeah, learning all the experience, I think I just realized, like, more what I realized when I was in the States, just putting tasty, honest food and giving it the love that it needs.
Yeah.
In anything we do. So, you know, I mean, we talk about butter, it's just fried chicken, but for me, it's not just fried chicken. You know, it's harder to do one thing properly than putting 7 elements on a plate that can morph and taste together. Yeah. So, you know,
there's nowhere to hide when it's one thing.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that was Neil's thing of bar and grill. 3 elements on a plate, like, they have to be really good.
Simon said something interesting when we were on the way up here, which was about, like...
That's good.
Yeah, I know, for once.
No, it's just office quotes.
Yeah, exactly. Less of them and more actually interesting chat, which was a nice change. In Australia, we seem to, like... And it goes sort of back to what we were saying, a bit of a rejection of, like, molecular stuff and liking that honest food. But, like, people can be very successful chefs and well-known chefs, but not have to be in the top restaurants in Australia. You know what I mean? Like, you can do butter and be very successful, and people know who you are because you are doing it, and sort of unashamedly just saying we're doing this and we're doing it really, really well.
There's generally been, like, pressure in some of yourself winning the awards, and that they're set up for you to come back and, you know, head up a Rockpool kitchen or open this 2-3 hat restaurant on the water. And there has been a lot more pressure, and that was almost the only path you could take. And now it seems that people are taking a bit of a step back and being like, nah, I just want to do like good food on my own terms in the spot I want to hang out in.
Yeah, I think that happened a lot with like the guys and all the rock pool and key boys and all that. You know, everyone used to meet, and I mean, it was a very big term that was used, like just cooking the food I'd love to eat, right? That casual shared dining. I think with, like, say for butter or with anyone now, is like conceptually it's something different. Why? And Manolo, my business partner, you know, coming from Deloitte and doing risk analysis, seeing all these big companies, and I think it's quite engrossed. My other partner Mo, like when we thought we're sitting down, was like, why do things the same? Why cut, copy and paste? You know, think outside. And conceptually for what like butter is, you know, it was very weird. It's odd. It's something. It's like, okay, we're gonna do these 4 pillars: fried chicken, hip hop, champagne, sneaker. It's a juxtaposition. Yeah, we're gimmicky. We didn't know if it's gonna work. But to go through that, like, why do something and just have your restaurant that's your little thing? You got a whole story. You get to connect more with people. I think people love a more connection through a restaurant that can tell a story. It doesn't have to just be where the food's from, what the food is, but it could be a whole brand vision that's different.
So let's go back to the beginnings of butter then, because I reckon it's fascinating. So like, was it one person's idea, or like how did it, what was the first conversation about, all right, this is the concept I'm thinking, like?
So I was overseas, and at Thievery, we'd already done this LFC, Lebanese fried chicken. And throughout that, you know, 8-9 months that I was away, everyone was like, oh, the fried chicken, like it was all like fried chicken shops, and then Thievery in Glebe has like the best fried chicken. And like, which was amazing. And then the boys were like, we want to open a fried chicken joint. And then Manoli had always wanted to do a sneaker and hip hop bar. So they were like, all right, fried chicken, sneakers, hip hop. I came back and they're like, we want to do this. And I'm like, that's stupid. Like, honestly, that was my first thing going, you joking? But I mean, look, they, you know, were very, no, like this is going to be. And look, honestly, we all were like, it's gimmicky, it's funny. Like, what the fuck are we doing? It was like, all right, well, what's next? Champagne. You know, I mean, our pillars: fried chicken, hip hop, champagne, music, fried chicken, hip hop, champagne and sneakers. It's food, music, booze, retail, like fashion. And yeah, we kind of just put it together, put it out there, and yeah, it's gone really well. And I think that we've been really true to what we are. Like, we're not just that restaurant, we're not just that retail shop, we're not just a bar. Like, we have really tried to ingrain and envision and stay true to the culture, the subculture of what hip hop and all that is.
Yeah, I mean, that concept could easily have become gimmicky if you know, the things weren't good, things weren't quality. Like if it was shitty chicken, like it wouldn't have worked, and it would have been just a throw into a you know, it'd be like someone opening a shoe shop and then just making some chicken, or you get like those random like places that like decide to put a coffee machine, like we'll just do coffee, and it never fucking works. Because the coffee's a gimmick.
Definitely a few of them.
Yeah.
Like it definitely. Yeah, it definitely could have. I mean, and that's the thing, like and you know, the training and everything, no matter what you sort of do, like we have good, honest, tasty food.
Like cooking.
You know, we try to. I've changed it like little bits. Customers probably don't really know, or, you know, I do a different flour or adjust things just to be better. That you've always got to change and evolve and better yourself. You know, we're 5 years now at Surrey, and we're going through another sort of little change. It's not big things, but it's just making sure our product is right and getting to the customers and done well. Our fashion side, you know, having that done properly. Like, we're not big. We do our own clothing. We do a few small brands from, you know, Europe or LA or America and stuff. The drink side of it, all of it is like simplistic elegance is what I like to kind of call it. It's streets meets luxury. It's nothing crazy. We're not doing over the top. We're not doing anything reinventing. We're just doing it good and honest. With our artists and the music, like, we've really gotten into the culture and gotten into the people, and with the labels and like the artists coming in, like Wu-Tang, we hustle for them to come in. And obviously Manoli's a massive fanboy. The guy was like, had to change his shirt 45 times before they come in because he was sweating so much.
That's so good.
And they came in and they were just like, wow. They were meant to go to Maryvale or something before, and we got them to come in. And
you stole them from
Raekwon, RZA and Jizza had come, and they were just like, what the fuck is this place? You know, and and I remember Raekwon was like, man, you know what? My mom's tastes like my mom's. It's like secret ingredient, mustard powder, you know, like in the fried chicken. And they told people, and then people started to ask to come to us. You know,
awesome.
we were hustled a couple to come in, and then we're just kind of known for that.
Was that part of the business plan? Was it like, we want to incorporate like real hip hop into this store, like get people to come in, like some of the stuff you're doing now is?
I think, yeah, definitely. Oh, it definitely was. We were starting off of, you know, fried chicken, hip hop, champagne, sneakers, like the food and booze, primarily in-store experiences was, you know, our number one focus. We wanted to get artists in. We didn't really know what capacity or how it worked. And as it did, we sort of grew. Like, we've interviewed artists, you know, we've had our Butter Presents and done with them. We've had internationals come over. We've had them tell people. We've had some artists meet other artists in there and you know, gone on to sort of get signed and things. It's been a surreal kind of weird, this little 40-seater fried chicken shop that could have been a gimmick actually stayed true. There's a lot of stuff outside that people don't understand that what we do. You know, people still like, oh, fuck, whatever. You know, they still think we're gimmicky. They don't understand. But for our, you know, biggest believers and supporters, they really understand and know what we're doing.
So how much of when you come at the concept, so you got like, right, what are we actually going to do? But then was the kind of foresight there to be like, we want to be a culture, we want to be more than just a restaurant? Was that there originally, or was that just come with the planning, or was that? That
was definitely the vision, a culture. Like I said, Manoli loves hip hop and loved everything and part of it. You know, they talk about drinking champagne or Hennessy. They all collect sneakers. They all eat fried chicken. Like Post Malone literally was eating fried chicken every day that we were taking to him. I was like, this is not good. It was definitely a culture because it's all about like the storytelling. It's what we had all loved growing up. All the boys, everyone collected sneakers. Everyone loves hip hop. It was envisioned. It was their culture, our culture, and we just sort of put it out there.
Yeah. Like, what was the initial response like when you first opened? Like, did people, like, how long did it take for people to get it?
Mate, the first few days, months opening, having lineups, I was honestly just
yeah, right.
Like,
so there was lineups at the very start.
Yeah, at the start. We had them out on the street for the good first 3 months until the council told us we weren't allowed to line people up. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
It was really funny, and I was just like, why the fuck are people covered here? You know, like, it was just very surreal. We had, you know, a lot of people in. Look, a lot of people still don't get it. A lot of people aren't engrossed. They just love the food. Other people like just love the retail. Other people just love like the drinks, you know. And then you have your greatest advocates that love all parts of it. We are very select. It's a very select, you know, culture. People being engrossed in the whole lot. We're not expecting to get everyone to fully get it, but I think we've stayed true, and I think it's why, you know, what do you say? 1 year is kind of make or break. Your next is 3 years, and then kind of 5 years to 10 years to sort of, you know, lasting for longevity. So that's why getting better and doing more and being more a part of the culture is a really big thing. We started off, I think we stayed true. It took us a couple of years to really sort of find that and really get within these artists and within the subculture, within the Australian community. And I think we've done it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You definitely have. Because, I mean, the proof's in the pudding because you're busy and everyone knows butter. But, like, it's just fascinating what you were talking about before about, you know, like being unique from the start and working with people from not a hospitality background and saying, everyone wants to open a fucking restaurant. And, like, I mean, there are very few restaurants and there are even fewer casual, like, or takeaway fast food places in Australia that have like a serious cult following and people, like you say, like that completely get it and are advocates and like love what you're about. So the only way to execute that is to do something unique. Like it's almost impossible to just like, unless you want to be the first person to invent a cronut or some shit. Yeah. like, you know, it's almost impossible to sort of break out of just being a hospitality venue and break into like other parts of culture, like here in Australia. So yeah, it worked.
Honestly, it's having the same, like all those the visions and doing it right and doing it from the start. Like you can do anything you put your mind to. Yeah. Some things will work, some things won't. I mean, look, we weren't the first to say put fashion and, you know, we were talking before, coffee machines at places or, you know, they have their own clothing or merch. What I really think more of is that we're not just a restaurant or a bar. We actually are a brand.
Yes.
And our brand is, that culture is part of our brand.
Yeah.
So that's a bigger thing of a restaurant. Yep, you can have a name, a chef doing what you're doing. Like butter for us is a brand. And that's what we envisioned at the start.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of hip hop all over it. It's not just, it never has just been music. It has been about a culture, about people, about background, about history, about stories. And it's to the point where hip hop has flooded popular culture, and almost there's kind of a bit of a hip hopification of food of recent as well, with like food just being mentioned in songs more, and like some like rappers haven't worked in kitchens because who hasn't worked in hospitality when you're trying to do something like, and it's kind of this weird crossover anyway that's sort of been happening. So it's kind of, I guess the butter is almost a kind of personification of that cultural shift.
Well, like we had A$AP Ferg talk about butter, a song here, and his latest song is like, we hit butter and, drinking all the Henny and all my Aussie freaks, like the song Aussie Freaks. Wow. And we were just like,
that's pretty
us?
amazing.
Yeah,
that is
like,
pretty amazing.
There was like an ad on TV, the Snoop Dogg one with Menu Lock.
That's right.
And people, and then everyone like Lab Bible, like, Snoop Dogg raps about Australia and all this. It's like, mate, that motherfucker got paid to do that.
Exactly.
Like, we didn't this guy, like A$AP Ferg, honestly, like he's a really nice guy. We got to go.
He's a lively guy.
Yeah.
A$AP Ferg's a lovely guy.
It was really funny. He came in, did an event. We got to go. He did a recording thing after. We got to go there. Yeah, cool. And in the studio when he was doing one of his songs with his DJ, and I think it was What's So Not. They were doing a collab together. And I think it was a couple of months later, like I just turned up to Surrey and he was there, like in the middle of the day.
Nice.
And I'm just like, oh, hey. He's like, man, yeah, we're just stopping over. I just wanted the fried chicken. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I love it. It's really good. And we started chatting. He's like, man, you got to do this in the States. I was like, I'm fucking scared to take fried chicken to the States. Like, he's like, dude, man, this new place opened in LA. It's got lines. I've had it. He's like, your chicken is amazing. I want this over there. And we've had like a lot of the artists be like, amazing. You need this over there.
That's pretty cool.
Post Malone, everything. Like each year he's come in and
let's get some. I want to get some more. Yeah, get some more stories. I want to hear more about these stories of artists and stuff. What's Post Malone like?
Mate, he's
wild.
He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. No, honestly, we've had really great relationships with everyone. We've had a few, won't say they actually have a bit of anxiety and can't eat in front of people and would go in their car and eat and then come back and didn't want anyone in like their space, But he's fucking hilarious. He's so funny. Like when we first met him, he first came in, Jess and our promoters of FOMO had brought him in, and no tats, no nothing. Just really like, oh, thank you so much. This was really great. I love this. All the boys got like a photo with him in the kitchen, and I was like, oh shit. And then he went like double platinum. Then he started getting tats the next year. He's like,
19 by this point or something. Like,
he went, they were in Brisbane, and he's like, hey, can we go to Butter? And they're like, it's in Sydney. He's like, well, I don't know. They said if it's true or not. Oh, they wanted him to fly some chicken up or something, right? He's like, nah, when we go to Sydney, we'll do it. He's like, I love this place. He was like upstairs in our garage and like on a milk crate, like cigarette, beer. And he's like, with his bouncers there and that. And he's like, man, yeah, I just really fucking love your chicken, eh? Like, he goes, mate, this is fucking cool. I'm telling you, like, you got to do it. What do you want? You want to come over? Yep. You want money? Yep. I got money doing this, like he wanted to do it. We have had a few chats. We'll see what happens. But,
sweet.
He came last time with Tyler Tyler had just done his RSA. No, he didn't really, but it was like, hey, I want to, like, all these people are here for me. I want to go behind the bar, and he's making cocktails and like, don't show any of the videos for licensing, but
there's rules in Australia.
Like I said, Raekwon, and he's like telling me about his mum's fried chicken recipe, and we've had like Cormega, like old school hip hop. He was just like, and he just wanted to hang out. He messages every time, like he's here, or even on the Instagram, we go, hey, you guys going? Like,
that's so cool.
We haven't had like nothing, too crazy, but just them being them. Oh, just taking bottles of champagne out on the road. Yeah. Oh, sorry, man, you can't drink on the street in Australia. But honestly, it just always had a mad time. They engage with like people, customers or people that we invite to these parties, and man, they've always been really like thankful, and they've honestly been really nice. We haven't had anyone haven't had anything weird
Yeah.
or hard to say. Even when we do the festivals or we take stuff backstage, like Manoli and Mo, like they got to go the last one with Wu-Tang, like they came in store and they got to take him fried chicken backstage, and you know they're all just loving it. So it's been really good, honestly, and just the words sort of got out from them. And then
how cool is that? It's
about
that like they're just telling their mates over in the States and stuff like that. It's like if you ever go to Sydney, you got to go to Butter. It's
Just great, just being embraced by that culture that you are sort of being a part of with the shop that you've kind of based a business model on hip hop, and then for people in hip hop artists to accept that and to love it.
Yeah,
that just must be real cool.
Look, there's a lot of places that try to get these people in, but obviously they just sort of come to us or they talk to their record label, and it's always last minute, like 4 p.m. Hey, I want to have a party tonight, and like Sony or something will ring. Oh yeah, hey, can we do this? We're like, you fucking serious? Like, just get it all done.
Sounds about right.
And like, man, we've given them some t-shirts. They wore them on stage. They have they really, I feel really respected, and like I said, a few of them have really wanted to and talked to us, and I think like the States is such a market. They're like, how has no one done this in the States? So maybe we should hurry up because who knows? But I mean, no one's going to the States for 3 years or 4 years now.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. All right, let's move on slightly. Like, tell us a bit about opening up Parramatta and Chatswood, and sort of, is that just sort of the natural progression of a successful business? Like, I mean, that's kind of the dream for a lot of owners and a lot of chefs. It's like, multiple venues, you can manage it and start being properly successful in this industry.
Mate, it's still not.
Still
How do you justify what success is? It's not always monetary or things. I think what we had was we are a culture. We wanted to, what we feel, Sydney, Surrey Hills is the one part. That's one customer base. Parramatta, Western Sydney, the next customer base to like envision and take our culture. And now open in Chatswood. It's kind of like what we feel, the 3 boroughs of Sydney, right? We wanted to just get out. Like if you want to be known or branded or anything, we picked that already. Like we wanted to. Having Surrey Hills like going so well, a tiny little place. We did a bigger place in Parramatta. We had a mezzanine. We had all our retail staff, so that was going really well. Driving from Surrey to Para is a pain in the ass, and then now driving to Chatswood. But yeah, it is definitely the progression. We've done it all off our own backs. We haven't had much money to do things. There's stuff that we've learnt and done along the way. I think, owning the businesses and doing stuff, and Manol's always says, the best thing is every decision you make matters. But the worst fucking thing is every decision you make matters, right? One day, week to week, next to next, oh, this store's doing good, this store's not, oh, but then that store's doing good, this is not, what's going on? But definitely whether we do more, I'd like to go into state, or I do really feel overseas would be great for it, but with everything that's sort of happened the last year, it's been a very big reset. I'm not talking about COVID, but it actually gave us some time to strip back everything we've sort of done, how we do it, replay our visions, replay our focus, what we're doing, how we're doing it. So yeah, we could do more. We can do anything. Cool. Staffing's, an issue too. Getting some good staff.
Plenty of issues. Did the Chatswood one, you're in shopping centre?
Yeah.
Is that more like? Were you thinking, okay, well, we want to push retail more? Is that a part of it? Like how does that's one thing I didn't ask, which I meant to, was like, how much of the business is retail and like how much of the business is hospitality? It's
still primarily food. We don't want to be that fast fashion and just pumping clothes. We do very select. All our stuff is very limited. We might make, 50 of each t-shirt for us. We'll only get like 10, 20 of like the other brands that we do. The kicks are consignment, so it's other people's on selling. They sell quite a lot of those. Our retail stuff generally sells out. It's not, I can't actually tell you a figure off the top of my head what percentage is, but being in the shopping centre has made it a bit more. Like we're selling a few more. We have our own inside dining so we're not actually just like a shop front like a general place that's in a food court. We actually have our own little site inside. So yeah, you know what? Fucking 2020 was so fucked up. We were just kind of like, do we want to go in a center? Let's just fucking try it.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I mean, more and more places are like Birdie, the cocktail bar in Melbourne is like in a shopping center, and it's like one of the fucking like sickest little bars in Australia right now. And like things are popping up, and the opportunities they give you, and the amount of fucking high rises that go up that have all these places. Like, I mean, Wollongong's bad for it. Like, all these high rises have all got commercial space, they're all empty. So they're all like dying out for people to move in. And you're like, well.
And it's kind of all that urban planning. They need to have restaurants, but then there's such an influx of restaurants, and then so many restaurants have closed down in the past year because, you know, it's another story for another time. These developers and restaurants opening and throwing money, and then not looking after you, you know, after you're kind of going. But look, it's hard. You know, hospo's hard. Mate, figures are slim from one week to another is so variable. Get it from both sides, staff, suppliers, then you got the customer side of things, and then you got to make sure you're paying everyone and doing it, and you have one bag week can throw you out.
So, I mean, you've talked about interstate, you've talked about more butter. Like, do you see anything other than butter on the horizon? Any more hot dog tent, hot dog and camping equipment?
Oh, look, I think through the last year and sort of looking back, there is some stuff we'd like to do and sort of morph into and change. I think there's, you know, it's nothing that's not ever been done before, but doing it differently. I think the possibilities are endless. I've got a list of things I wanted to always do from starting and doing butter. Like my dad had, like, you know, chicken shops and Big Rooster and wholesale businesses, and we had a florist and all these things. Like, I like my fingers in every pie. Like, I like to be involved. Even here, like the retail, Joe and Manoli do it, but I always like to, you know, make sure I'm kind of across everything. There's definitely some stuff I want to do.
Cool.
Yeah. A lot of people open restaurants and they're always got to have like a twist. It's always got to be like, we're doing like this and it's modern, this infuses this. Like, what is actually, it seems to be harder because less people do it, is taking concepts and just doing them well. Yeah. Like that should be twist enough for most places. And there's so much scope to go like, fried chicken's like, how can we do the best fucking fried chicken with, like, you know, good chicken, good ingredients, and make, you know, nail that recipe. You can do that across so many cuisines.
The places with the longest lines in the world are probably those like Michelin star hawkers in Hong Kong and stuff. I mean, char siu.
It's quite like in Japanese culture where people just do one thing really fucking well.
I love Japanese food, and like going to those little ramen places, and that, like, you think about like burger places and what we are fast casual, but we are such in a different weird spot, and it's honestly, it's just so weird. We keep thinking we're not like this, we're not like that, we're like in between, which is fucking hard because we got that retail, we've got the food, we've got the champagne, we're like a bar, but we're like a restaurant, but but we do takeaway. Coming up with like the ramen or like our noodle dishes, things like that, they are very simple. I mean, the ramen's not, it's a fucking pain in the ass, but normal burger places is like 25 patties on a fucking burger, or, you know, all these different sauces. Like, man, it's just, our things are like cheese, honey mustard, lettuce. Like, that's it, you know, and doing that is like harder and keeping it going. But what you're saying, like having a concept, doing something, I feel that, like, we get to play a little bit more than just sort of be just that kind of fast casual. And then we get that concept, we get to play in the retail, and we get to play in the drink space, like a bit more than, here's the place, this is my vision, but it's fucking hard. Like, it is harder to really. How
have you found having that bit of creativity and a bit of changing with having multiple venues now, where things have to be, where you can't be in all places at once, and everything does have to be more set. Like, we have to be like, right, well, I need to write down how you like fucking walk, right leg, left leg, for everyone to fucking make sure they do it properly.
Yeah, we started bits and pieces of that. We're still far from it, but having the two wasn't too bad. Parramatta was a bigger store. Surrey's like a little store. I always wanted to do we do a charcoal chicken out there now. And now sort of Parramatta and Chatswood have the bigger menu, and then Surrey's smaller, and then just from opening now, I'm like, hey, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, fuck, I actually need to write this out properly. Okay. And now, actually, I can't just give them like 11 p.m. at night that it's going on the
Yeah.
next
Yeah,
day. You know, so
Yeah.
hopefully it's making
let's
me
try
more
this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, no,
yeah.
I have to plan this weeks in advance.
So, which is great. Like it's trying to, or hopefully making me more structured, you know, to do that. And you know what? Look, McDonald's, KFC, hey, I love eating them, but they actually have done great within hospitality. You know, the systems and the structures. Like, you know, we have a few kids that have worked there, and how they trained and learned there is very great.
Yes, it's pretty impressive. Like, it's to have that many restaurants where it's consistent, it's always the fucking same. Like,
McDonald's throughout the world. I would try McDonald's in every country. I love Macca's. You know, dirty Macca's.
People who act
Uber
like they
Eats
don't
it.
like Macca's, I just think it's just fucking liars.
Yeah.
They're just like on their moral high horse, just liars.
Yeah.
It's like, it's inherently delicious. There's so much salt, so much fat, so much sugar. It can't
It's
not
addictive.
be delicious.
It's so addictive. But yeah, to go around the world, they are so consistent.
Yeah.
KFC is not consistent throughout the world.
Actually, KFC in
Honestly,
the UK
like,
is quite different.
Yeah, Hong Kong was the worst probably KFC I had. But
Yeah,
their
right.
Macca's fried chicken is excellent in Hong Kong.
But yeah, I mean, it's like those are things that like you don't learn as a chef.
No.
Like that's stuff like being able to, you know, make sure everything's written out, have all your recipe cards, have all your procedures in place. Like that's something you have to take from, you know, larger business, corporate world.
Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, they say a lot of cooks aren't great business people, right? I think I was sort of lucky growing up with dad, had a little bit of a sense, and then my business partners thinking differently too. You know, there's still stuff we do right, stuff we do wrong, but it is hard, and having that structure and being able to do multiples, like I love it. It's, you know, a lot of work. You're spending a lot of hours trying to do it. You're always chasing your tail because you're always fighting fires or something come up. I would love just to stop for like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and just cook.
Close everything and just catch up, you know, to implement more better, but it's never going to happen. But yeah, it's the fun of it. It's the fun of doing it and to try to be consistent. And you look at like, I hate them, but like Google reviews and they say this at this store or that at that store, really just trying to get the same stuff is very difficult because you don't have that same chef in every store or you don't have that same team. And it is hard, but it's why you do it. You love it.
Yeah, solving those problems. Cool.
I reckon that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good way to end it. Julian, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hello, dear listeners. Steph here. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Food Fight. If you want to get in touch with us, it's at The Food Fight Podcast on Instagram or The Food Fight Podcast at gmail.com. We want to hear from you and we want to talk to you. Please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That really helps. If you want to hit me up, it's quicksandfood.com or at quicksandfood on Instagram. And if you want to get in touch with Simon, it's Simon_Evans_TBD on Instagram. Thanks so much for tuning in and we'll catch you again with another episode.